If you're watching this, that means that I am back from BEA. I survived. I made it. All of my fears were for nothing. Well, not necessarily for nothing, but I pulled through. I went. I experienced. I had probably the best time of my life hanging out with people, getting free books. I should probably spit out my gum for this video. I attended BEA for the first time and it was everything I expected and more. I will probably do a separate my BEA experience video, so keep an eye out for that. But I have all of the books that I picked up here and I want to show them all to you. Honestly, I did not do any research into what books were going to be at BEA, so I just grabbed whatever I thought looked good. I grabbed whatever everyone else was grabbing. I ended up with these things. I got 14 books, which is a very small number compared to some people, but I was trying to keep it cool. I didn't want to have that bag limit over 50 pounds. Disclaimer over, the first thing that I got is a chapter sampler for Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. If you don't know, Laini Taylor wrote Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which is a fantasy, urban fantasy, paranormal-ish type book. It is one of the most unique things I've ever read, and I've only read the first one, so I need to get on that. And this is her new book coming out in fall 2016. I read the back of this to try and gather what it's about, but it just seems like another fantastical, creepy book about monsters and gods and friendship and treachery and love and courage and blood and alchemy, and this is something to keep your eye on if you were a fan of Laini Taylor's first series. The next book I have is Lauren Oliver's newest book called Replica, which we are all very confused about. So let me first of all open it and get it out of the fancy packaging. Jeez. It is double-sided. I don't know which side goes first. I don't know if it matters which way you read them. The spine goes this way, so maybe this half is first, but it takes place in two perspectives. I'm seeing the words, a research facility where thousands of replicas of human models are born, raised, and observed. Two experiments escape. It's like a sci-fi stem cell cloning. I don't know. It seems very interesting that I heard about that, but I do need to do my research and find out how am I supposed to read this, because and this was the very first book that I got, so it has a very special connection to my heart. Two of these books Sivy gave me, and I'll link her channel down below. First thing she ended up giving to me is this book that's kind of like a fun activity book for the office that has like coloring and like games and just funny pages. It was hilarious and she offered it to me and I couldn't say no, so now it's in my possession. The second book that Sivy gave me, this is a long story of where it ended up, but like people didn't want this from last year and it kept getting passed around and finally I offered to take it, so now I have Truthwitch. And I have not read this, I have no clue what it's about, but everyone raves about it, so I'm there. Stemming from the title, I assume this is about witches. If not, then very misleading title. Sarah J. Maas blurbed it, I trust me some Maas. I'm just gonna go into this blindly. And the third and final book that was just given to me was given to me by Jesse. He just reached into his backpack and put this in my hands and I was like, okay. This is Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. Book Depository was sending people like 50 copies of these and I don't know if that was an accident or what, but he had a lot of extras and he was giving them out and I was like, might as well. This is a short story. Yikes. That would have been good to know. It's Rainbow Rowell though. Okay, continuing onward with the things I got. The next book that we got was, I said we as if like collectively everyone got this, Stealing Snow by Danielle Page. This is a retelling of The Ice Queen, which is what Frozen, the movie, is based off of. Danielle Page wrote Dorothy Must Die, which I really liked and that was in my favorites of last year. I heard this was gonna be out and people were talking about going and standing in line for it and I was like, sure. Bless you! I do not know who this follows, what the plot is, what's gonna happen, but this seems like a very wintry read. This comes out September 27th. This next book I picked up randomly because Sivy said the words for fans of Jandy Nelson, and I was like, okay, that's me. So this is The 100 Lies of Lizzy Lovett. So what I can gather from the synopsis is that the person named Lizzy has disappeared and it's people looking for her. I don't know what twist there is. This is actually published in 2017, so they were super on top of getting this out early. I really like this cover though, and so that's half the reason I just grabbed it. Okay, this next book is The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles. This book was given out in companion to Stealing Snow, and so we were all just like, oh, we don't really want that one, but okay, might as well. Jeff Giles is the person that moderated the Sarah J. Maas, Laini Taylor, and Victoria Aveyard panel, and it was freaking hilarious. He was absolutely the best. He has like moderator goals. And the only thing I know about this book is that it's a bounty hunter. Yep, he's a bounty hunter from hell coming to get Zoe's soul or something like that. So I do really want want to read that one after meeting that author. This next book that I have is one of the most anticipated books that I knew was going to be there. There were only like 2 or 3 that I was like, I have to get that. I was upset that the signing for this was at the same time I was interviewing Tahara, but someone got a ticket for me and I went and got it and I got it signed and it was beautiful. And so now I have A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is the sequel to An Ember in the Ashes, which was like my favorite book of last year. It's one of the best, most potential-filled fantasy series that I think I'll be reading. It's based off a Roman society. This girl has to spy on this military base, and the guy in the story is in the military base and they're like rebelling. There's so many layers to it and it's very different from anything you'll ever read, and I just loved it. I cannot wait to read this sequel, and she signed it to me and that was lovely. So I'm so glad I got to meet her, so glad I got to get that book, and it was just an amazing experience. Speaking of huge thank you to Emily, she got me this arc because I was elsewhere and she saw it, and this is one of my, again, most anticipated ones. This is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Hyun. This book comes out November 1st and this is her second novel. She wrote Everything, which I read and actually did really enjoy. I think she has really good characterization and her writing style is very beautiful. It's a girl who falls in love with a boy right before she's about to be deported to Jamaica. So that sounds drama ridden. That sounds like it's gonna have some social commentary. It says that the author grew up in Jamaica, so I hope that this is just gonna be really accurate, really emotional, and this cover so great. It feels so nice. This book's in dual perspective now that I see it, and I'm gonna read this one soon because I think it's gonna be fantastic. This next book Sara got me. And I still can't tell if it was a joke or not, but she legitimately walked up to me on day 1 and she was like, I got this for you. You're welcome. And it's Dark Horses by Cecily von Zigipetsepatha. She just got this for me because she said it was about horses. Merritt Winner has been self-destructing ever since the tragic deaths of her grandmother and her horse, and after an epic all-night bender, she walks out of the SAT and disappears. Her parents, looking for a quick fix, ship her off to a residential equine therapy program. At Good Fences, Merritt meets Red, a failed racehorse, and Terror in the barn. Is this middle grade? Is this real? I feel like books about horses are only middle grade and only cheesy and very like niche to the people that like horses. So if they're publishing this in like the actual YA category being like a book about horses, that's very new and that might be exciting. If it ends up being really good, then thanks in advance, Sara, even though I took up valuable space in my suitcase bringing that home. This next book I honestly just grabbed because it was at the HarperCollins booth and I was like, I trust y'all, I trust y'all. This is Spare and Found Parts by Sarah Maria Griffin. A young woman with a mechanical heart sets out to create the one being who may understand her and accept her in this haunting literary debut. It's in a city devastated by an epidemic whose survivors are all missing parts. Oh, so this is like the Young Elites pretty much, where like there's a disease and it leaves people with missing appendages. Oh, but Nella's the only one whose mechanical piece is on the inside, her heart. This is like Cinder meets Frankenstein. Maybe not at all. You know what? Let's give it a try. It's HarperCollins. That's my future dream job. That's where everything good comes out of. I'm there. This next book I just grabbed because I knew the author's name and it was there and I was like, okay. This is Laurie Halse Anderson's Ashes. This book is about slavery and trying to find freedom. This is during the American Revolution. So just some historical fiction. I do not read enough of historical fiction, especially books about slavery and American Revolution. I don't think I've ever read anything about, so this is going to be really interesting. I haven't read Laurie Halse Anderson in a long time, so hopefully I still click with her writing style, but yeah, just one of the many things that I grabbed. I got a ticket to the David Levithan signing, so you know, I got that signature. This book is You Know Me Well by David Levithan, and he collabed for this with Nina LaCour. But David Levithan's books are always short, they're always so great, they're always so uplifting. Mark and Kate have sat next to each other for an entire year, but their paths outside class never crossed until Kate spots Mark miles away from home out in the city for a wild, unexpected night. This is just a lighthearted, contemporary. David Levithan is always amazing. Just, I'm ready for it. And I could not tell you if this is already out or not because it's a finished copy. I assume it's not because I've never heard of this before. So I got 3 Tahara Mafi books signed this BEA. So the first one is obviously the book that everyone went there for, which is Furthermore, which I felt so bad waiting in line for because this is my 3rd copy of this book. So I got this signed and we said hi for the first time in a long time and it was so beautiful. I read this book, it was amazing. I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, one that you should totally buy, not only just because the cover is so gorgeous, but because love the author, love her writing so much. It's pretty much better than Shatter Me writing wise. But then the next day I had an interview and so I brought my 2 copies of Ignite Me for her to sign. This first one, the staple, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous Ignite Me. And then she signed my special copy. This is actually like her own calligraphy. I won this in a contest and so I just had her put a signature on this one, and that was wonderful. And she saw this and she was like, oh my god, I'm so happy you won that. And we had a moment again that was like the best. I'm happy with the amount of books I got. For the amount of research that I didn't put into it, I didn't want Heartless. The only arc that I didn't get was Gemina, but someone is sending that to me, so I'm just praising. There's nothing that I'm disappointed that I didn't get. So all in all, it was just it was a good year. I hear that everyone said it was one of the best years they've had. Civi was saying it was the best year she's been to, and she's been going since like 2012, I think. It was just a really good experience. Once again, keep an eye out for my BEA experience video. There's something in my eye right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you're excited for any of these books to come out, which of them I should read and review first. Until then, hope you're having a nice life. Goodbye. I'm just gonna drop it and hope for the best. Nailed it.